Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are ready to talk a little bit more fantasy football for the up-and-coming 2020 season. Second video of the day here on Cinco de Mayo, Taco Tuesday. We're in the middle of the coronavirus. I mean, it seems like a good day to I'm getting Chipotle later today, too, so everything's lining up for me right now.
I know you. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I know you love that, and I know it's nice to make a couple videos back-to-back. It gets us back into our routine. I know you like that as well.
It helps to be in some version of a routine. And for like a lot of you guys probably out there, it's been a roller coaster ride throughout the quarantine. It feels like it's been forever. But like I'll have 2 or 3 days go by and I'll be awesome. I'll run every day. I'll eat healthy. I won't drink alcohol or anything like that. And things will feel normal. And then all of a sudden, like if my kids are gone with their moms or something, like then it's like 2 days, I'm bored. And it's like, well, it's time for cocktails. Why? Not because I really want them, just because I have nothing else to do.
Oh, I got a show actually for you on Netflix. OBX. OBX.
I've never even heard of it.
It's like, I think newish.
Okay.
So there's only one season out so far. It was good. It's not like the best show ever. It's not like The Shield, but it was good. It was entertaining. I mean, the characters are a little bit young for my liking, but it was still like good, and it was more mature than that anyway. So I liked it.
All right. I've been watching a lot of movies lately, like got off of shows, and the last couple of weeks it's been a lot of movies. I've actually been sitting through Disney movies with my daughter. That's how bored I have been. I hate Disney movies and cartoons, but I've actually sat there and watched them with her just to spend time with her because, well, time is not of the essence right now.
Well, that's good for you, man.
All right, guys. So let's talk about DK Metcalf and what our thoughts are on him moving into the 2020 season. Solid rookie campaign. See what he can build on coming into year 2. Before we get into any rhyme or reason behind that, do us a favor, go click that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, hit that bell for notifications when videos come out. Now, as far as what we like to talk about in the beginning of these, coach is the same, coordinator is the same. Looks like we're coming up on year 3 of, I think, Brian Schottenheimer in the system. Injury concerns. Only anybody trying to fight him. DK Metcalf didn't have any major injuries last year.
No. So before we even go into like details, I just want to ask you right now, like, where do you view DK Metcalf in terms of like, do you think he's a top 20 wide receiver? Do you think he's top 30? Do you think he's top 15? Do you think he's top 50? Like just
top 50 with the potential of being top 20 by the end of this year.
I think, okay, as far as wide receivers go.
Yeah, I mean, and again, if he's a stud at the end of the year, I'm not shocked by that either. But like, it's hard to crack the top 10. You know, once you go through the Julio Jones, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, like those are the studs. So getting into the top 20 is not easy.
It's not. I would put him in the top 30 though.
Okay. I'm not going to argue that point at all. Like I would actually have to sit down and rank my guys because again, you got Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams. Like you'll probably bring up your boy OBJ. You know, and then where is he against guys like, say, like a Devontae Parker, for example?
So ESPN has him ranked, and I'm just looking at this, 28th. And okay. I think that fits. Like, I think he's like within 5 of that.
Sure. A little higher, a little lower, plus or minus 5. No arguments with that.
Yeah, like where's him or Jarvis Landry? I'm not sure. You know?
That's one where it's probably like, what do you need in your system? Do you need a slot guy or do you need a guy who can get you touchdowns on the outside?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, though. You're right. Like, if he has a year, like, he'll move down. If he has a really good year, he's got potential. We'll say that.
Definitely. All right. His rookie season was solid, right? He played all 16 games. He started 15 of them, 100 targets. Look for, hopefully, the number of times him and Russell Wilson are able to connect. Only 58%. That's not very good. But I would expect that in year 2, which is normally when wide receivers take their biggest bump up, I would expect that to get better this year. He does run a lot of deeper patterns, so you don't ever expect him to have the completion ratio of, say, like a Michael Thomas. But I would expect this to get better this year, would just be my prediction.
I agree. I mean, another year in, I mean, I can only help him. He's a beast physically. He's got a good quarterback. There's a lot of potential here. Definitely.
So I would expect this to get better this year. Maybe another year, too, of working Russell Wilson on that scramble drill, right? I mean, Russell Wilson is not a great pocket passer. He's a great quarterback, but he's not a great pocket passer because he's short it's difficult for him to step back and throw. He also hasn't had the weapons through most of his career to be a great pocket passer. So another year of working with him on that scramble drill, moving around, getting open when he extends plays can only benefit him this season.
For sure. And the other thing I think he's clearly their number one guy. Like,
right.
Lockett is good, and he fits that system really good. But Metcalf is the number one wideout. Do you agree?
Yeah, because it's hard for me to ever look at a slot wide receiver and say you're the number one.
Exactly.
I like Tyler Lockett, but he's a slot wide receiver. I mean, there's no other way around it.
There just is no other way around it. He had some really good weeks last year, but he also disappeared at times.
Right. Again, the difference between what, DK Metcalf is built like a true number one, right? You mentioned the size, the stature. We've all seen the pictures of him, his muscles. I mean, this guy, have fun trying to jam him at the line.
Yeah, exactly. He looks like a monster.
Yeah, exactly. He's anybody listening to this feels very bad about their body image if you see what this dude looks like.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking about.
All right. So what did Seattle do in the offseason that we feel like will affect DK Metcalf? Not a lot. They drafted Colby Parkinson in round 4. They signed Greg Olsen. They grabbed DJ Dallas, a running back, in the 4th round. A few offensive line changes, which are pretty standard for almost every team in the in the NFL. They signed Philip Dorsett. I mean, this is all much ado about nothing, but they also didn't lose anybody that was a key factor on their offense.
No, yeah, there's nothing here. I think that it's just another year in the system. It's all good for him. They're also talking, I just read today, that Marshawn Lynch is talking about coming back there. So another piece of their offense, which doesn't really affect Metcalf. I think that you're going to see them. I don't think that they've had a receiver like Metcalf with Russell Wilson being there. I mean, the last number one wide receiver I can remember being on Seattle was Sidney Rice for a couple of years.
Holy cow, that's going way back in the time machine, right? Well, it depends how you look at Doug Baldwin as well.
For sure. Okay, it's a good point. So Metcalf, I think that there's a lot of upside here. I really do.
Yeah, and I like him this season. But looking at his ADP right now, I don't think he's a steal. I don't think he's undervalued or overvalued. I think he is correctly being looked at where he is going right now. So I don't think this is either a sleeper or a guy that I feel like is being overvalued. I think he is appropriately ranked currently, being projected somewhere between 40 and 50.
I agree.
So, I mean, it makes sense. The offense seems to be almost exactly the same. Have you heard anything on the health of Chris Carson? Is he good to go opening week?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard he's good to go.
That's what I thought too.
And them drafting a running back was more about Rashad Penny. And now Marshawn Lynch potentially coming back. I mean, Carson
still wants to be a running football team.
Most definitely. Metcalf fits that mold, though. He's a physical receiver, a ton of red zone targets. That's the other thing about him, which is good for fantasy purposes. He's a beast in the red zone.
He did 2 things a lot last year: run deep patterns at a very high rate and get red zone looks at a very high rate. You would assume the natural just progression of wide receivers. It used to be year 2 to year 3, but as colleges have gone to heavier pro style offenses, you've noticed that wide receivers have made their biggest jumps year 1 to 2. So he's in a good spot to be better this year. Again, I don't think you can underrate the experience with Russell Wilson. There's a few quarterbacks out there: Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson, and we're getting more of them. These guys who are mobile, and you need to learn to have chemistry with them when the play breaks down. That's what Russell Wilson does best. So we would think a natural leap from year 1 to year 2 would make a ton of sense for him.
For sure. And as you know, I'm a Pete Carroll fan. I like the cut of Seattle's jib. So yeah, I think that as one of their main pieces on offense, I've said it, a couple of times already, there's a lot of potential here for a big year for Metcalf.
Now, the number one thing I think working against them is what you mentioned. Pete Carroll is the offensive, guy here. He's the head coach. He makes the calls. He wants to run the football. And if Seattle's good, they're running the football efficiently. Their defense is playing well. They definitely, made some splashes within the draft defensively. That's where they want to, get back to the days of old. They want to play defense and run the football. Very old school approach. So if they're playing well this year, there's going to be fewer opportunities because they don't want to throw the ball the way that Andy Reid wants to throw the ball.
I mean, that's just a fact. So
it's the biggest thing working against them is bulk, right?
So he's going to need touchdowns, which
yes
are most of the time unpredictable. He's a guy that should score touchdowns, though, right?
You should. He had 7 last year. If you asked me where I would put the over-under on him this year, I'd say at about 9. Like, I'm not surprised at all if he catches 11.
I was going to say 9 or 10.
Yeah, okay. I was about to say 9.5, but went down to 9. So we're in the same ballpark on this one. He had a lot of red zone targets last year. And if he gets a little bit better and more efficient, I think you could see him connect on a few more deep balls, which is a place that they want to get him.
100%.
So big plays are tough to predict. It's not like when you get Michael Thomas, who gets double-digit looks in every single game. It's very easy to have good numbers when you always get your looks. There are going to be games this year where DK Metcalf has 6 targets, maybe less.
For sure.
So to me, that's the number one thing working against him. Where I'm finding him ranked this year, right next to his running mate Lockett, and kind of religiously between 40 and 50, which to me is fair. I think you would take him over Lockett this year, no questions, right?
I like him. So I agree with you. I don't think there's like tremendous draft value there, like at the beginning of the season right now, but I still like him. You know what I mean? So I don't think I'm overspending by taking him there or around there, or even a little bit before there, because as we always talk about rankings, you don't want to be a slave to the rankings. Like if you like a guy, and DJ Metcalf could legit be a top 15 receiver at the end of the year. It's hard to get in there. But if I told you he was a top 15 guy at the end of the year, I don't think you would think that's nuts. I mean, he's got a lot of tools. So you have to pay for guys you want. That's the nature of the beast.
I like him in standard leagues, too. If you still play in a standard league, he's going to get rewarded with the long plays and the touchdowns more. He's not going to be a 100-reception guy.
I agree. I mean, 100% agree there.
So I do think that is an edge you could possibly get on your opponents, because at the end of the year, we talked about it, 58 catches on 100 looks last year. What if this year he still has 100 looks, but he gets 66 catches, 8 more at 16 yards a carry? That's an extra 1,000 yards, gets in the end zone 2-3 more times. I think he could be a nice sleeper. And for those of you who still play in standard leagues where long pass plays are rewarded more so than just pure bulk, because it's Seattle, he's just never going to have that high efficiency.
2 guys I love in standard leagues are Metcalf and Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, for a lot of the same reasons, right? Big plays.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, that's like the subtle differences. And for novice players, 1,000 yards on 100 catches versus 1,000 yards on 60 catches. I mean, you get to 1,000 yards either way, but those 40 extra catches, those add up.
For sure. In PPR leagues, yeah.
So I think we agree. He's appropriately being drafted right now between 5th round and 6th round. And if you like him like Bellman does, it's not a bad idea to get him in the 4th round. Reach for him a little bit early. If you believe in him, that's not a reach. It's just making sure that you get him because he'll probably go the next round.
And I'll say this. People like him. People like him. I have him in my Dynasty League, and I get trade offers for him like daily. People want him. People see the upside. They like him.
Mm-hmm. Might get overvalued because of the name, also because people look at Seattle being a good offense and they look at Russell Wilson as a good quarterback without really looking further into what it is that Seattle does, which is ultimately they want to run the ball. So if you do like him, this is a guy you're probably going to have to make sure that you take a little early because somebody else will.
For sure. Like we talked about, ESPN in PPR rankings right now has him ranked 28th. I could see a lot of between like 15 to 30 being flopped any which way you want.
Yeah, for sure. You know how it is. I mean, after those top couple of guys this year,
really,
it gets real tight for me.
Yeah, after the top, after the top 5 for me. I mean, after Michael Thomas, Hopkins, Devontae Adams, Julio Jones, and Tyreek Hill, that's pretty solid right now. And there's other guys, like a guy that could bounce back up there is Odell. We talked about Juju Smith-Schuster, but as of right now, even if you don't want to include Tyreek in there, like Thomas, Hopkins, Adams, and Jones.
Yeah, and then you get into the question marks, like the Stephon Diggs and guys like that.
Galladay.
Yes, well, I trust Galladay because I just think he's good, and I think Detroit has to throw the ball. But yes, there's definitely questions on how you rank all these guys right there.
They got Allen Robinson at number 12. I could easily see DK Metcalf having a better year than him. Do you agree?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Again, I like him in standard leagues especially because he's going to hit some deep throws. I mean, that's what they got him there for, is to make those big splash plays. They want to run the ball, but if they're not as good and they have to throw it more, there's potential upside right there. I expect Seattle to be a playoff team or at least compete for a playoff spot again. But, you know, the NFL is a funny way of working out.
Yeah, I keep thinking about like the Titans were in the AFC title game last year. Like the NFL, you said it best, has a real funny way of working out week to week.
I mean, if something happens and Seattle's defense is not very good and they're giving up points and they have to throw it a little bit more, like DK Metcalf has upside right there. It's not what I expect. I expect Seattle to be good, but you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly. You never know. Maybe one year, like their offense carries. I agree with you wholeheartedly. You never know, and he's got a lot of tools. So we see this very eye to eye here.
Yeah, again, stud guy. Seems to make sense this year. Definitely on board. But I think the number one point to mention when we talk through these guys, we brought up David Johnson earlier today. We talked about Lamar Jackson yesterday. All three of these guys have that thing in common that it just takes that one guy in your draft to reach for him. So if there are guys that you are really targeting, just have it be known that you're probably going to get a reacher in every single one of your drafts with these dudes. So if they need to be a staple of yours, be prepared to pay a little extra for them or draft them a little bit earlier. And I'm a big proponent in auction drafts, which is most of what I do. If there's a guy you really believe in, spend the money on him. And then when you're down there with your 13th and 14th guys, maybe you don't have it, but you can probably get a guy for $1 who's just as good as the guy you got for $4.
Yeah, exactly. Like you got to spend on who you want, and this is a great example. I want Metcalf. That doesn't automatically mean I'm going to get him because he can be overbid and overpriced, but I like him a lot, and I'm certainly not going to let someone steal him from me. I'll say that,
Right. If ESPN has him for, let's just say, $16 on their draft.
Like that ain't happening.
Like if you want to have to spend 21 for him, do it. And then save your money later on if you need to. I think people oftentimes, they get too worried about overspending in auction drafts. When it's like at the end of the draft, if you overspend on him, then somebody else goes overspending, and then all the money means the same at the end. If you're very convicted, spend the money.
Exactly. And that's why auction drafts are beautiful.
Yeah. And like I'm convicted on spending money on McCaffrey or Barkley this year over getting like an Ezekiel Elliott type. I think it's worth the extra $10 or whatever it's going to be. I'd rather make sure I spend my money on that guy. And then, if I got to go down from Odell Beckham to DK Metcalf, I'm cool with that.
100%.
So, all right, guys, thank you very much for watching. We will continue to pound these videos out on a daily basis. Have a wonderful Cinco de Mayo or any day that you are watching this pre-NFL season.
Thanks, guys.